Right now in Wake Up with Al, Tropical Storm Odil's on the move, producing heavy rain as it heads north and east.
We have live team coverage of Odile and its flood threat. Carl Parker's tracking it from the lab. Jim Cantori joins us live from Tucson, Arizona.
Meantime, the temperature roller coaster continuing for the center of the country.
Yeah, learn who's going to go from snow last week to temperatures near 90 this week. It's all right here, right now on Wake Up with Al.
Live from New York and the heart of Rockefeller Center, it's Wake Up with Al Roker and Stephanie Abrams.
Good morning, top of the hour, top of the morning to you, Tuesday, September 16th, 2014. Thanks for waking up with us.
We are live in New York. I'm Stephanie Abrams alongside Al Roker. Let's get you right to your top three. And, of course, we're starting off with Odile.
Oh, dear. We got Odile to deal with. So, first of all, top story, Odile's rains are coming, and we're going to be telling you about them. We've got Jim Cantori standing by in Tucson, Arizona. We're talking about some heavy rain, 3 to 5 inches possible, and that could cause massive flooding. We'll check that out. In number two story, it's going to be stormy in the southeast. We're looking at wet weather stretching from the Texas coastline all the way to Miami and on up into Charleston. And number three, we got some chill times for you in the Midwest. Temperatures are going to be well below average. Chicago 66, that's 8 degrees below average. St. Louis at 67. Hello, Cleveland, you're going to be 10 degrees below average with a high of 63 degrees.
People are going to be enjoying that, I have a feeling, with the sunshine. It's time now to check back in on Odile, which is still packing a punch. And look at the flooding in Cabo San Lucas.
That's right.
Resort town just hit hard from this historic Category 3. The first time they've actually had a Category 3 make landfall there in Cabo.
That's right. Flooding's not the only thing they're dealing with. They dented cars, roofs torn off homes, shattered glass, buildings just wiped out, and thankfully no deaths, but about 100 injured. And we've gotten reports that the airport there is not going to open up until October 10th. We've got live team coverage of Odile and the flood threat for the Southwest. Hurricane specialist Carl Parker's got the latest on Odile now and when the threat ramps up for flash flooding. Storm tracker Jim Cantori joining us from Tucson as they prepare for all the rain on the way. Let's start off with Carl. So what are we expecting as this moisture from Odile spreads north, Carl?
Well, it looks like there's going to be a very serious flood threat, Al, and let's give you the latest on the storm from the National Hurricane Center. It's now a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and it's moving off towards the north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. I want to show you the satellite picture, and that core has remained relatively strong. Got a lot of spin here, which is not surprising given how strong that storm was at one time, and now that core is coming out and over top of very warm water in the Gulf of California, and it's going to allow that core to remain rather intact, we think, as it moves off to the north and east, even as the winds are coming down with this system. So this is a high-resolution model depiction of how this is going to play out. It's probably a pretty good representation, showing that rain really starting to pick up there in southern parts of Arizona. It's been raining already with some upper-level features that have come out. And then we get more of that going through the day on Wednesday, perhaps really ramping up into late Wednesday in southeast Arizona, parts of New Mexico, then continuing through the day on Thursday across a lot of the same areas. Now, what does that mean in terms of rainfall? Well, this is the same model showing you a large area of 3+ inches of rain with pockets of more than 5 inches of rain there in southeast Arizona and southern parts of New Mexico. That's an awful lot of wet weather for that part of the world, can cause a lot of damage. And for that reason, our Jim Cantori is out in Tucson, Arizona. And Jim, as we look at the structure of this thing right now, we talk about the rain that's happened already today, and we look at more and more of the model data, it's hard to see how we're not going to get significant flooding out there.
Yeah, it really isn't, because as long as that core holds together, Carl, and comes this way, it's going to bring all that rain with it. And unfortunately, it's going to unload on northern Mexico, southern Arizona, much of New Mexico, and also in western Texas. So everybody needs to be on alert. It's raining now. This is a steady light rain. We've got about 0.05 to about 1/10 of an inch right now here in Tucson. And it won't take much, believe it or not. I mean, this wash just a week ago was ferocious. I mean, in terms of what was going on down there. And you see, a situation like this where somebody's actually walking down there. When this water starts coming down through here, you can see how it just kind of bent these branches over. And we had a record daily rainfall last week here in Tucson. As a matter of fact, let me show you the pictures just going back a week. And remember, this was less than 1 inch of rain, all right, total for the day. These pictures are coming from less than an inch of rain. We had people losing their lives as a result of the flooding. And look at the kind of water that you can get once it starts coming down from the hills. I mean, we've got 9,160-foot Mount Lemmon nearby. Of course, I'm looking at it right now, which is starting to get a little bit cloudy, cloud shrouded at this point, but it's going to obviously hold all that water. And then once it starts cascading down through here, it's washes like these that take the water away, and also other ones that cross roads. And the problem is people drive in those washes, and that's when they get into trouble. So avoid these areas. The signs tell you to do that. You should do it, because this is a ferocious torrent once it starts coming down. So, Carl, we will watch the radar and see what kind of rainfall rates we will be dealing with. It certainly looks like Wednesday, Thursday are going to be the worst days here in Tucson. We'll keep you posted. All right, let's go back to the studio for more on your forecast. Keith Carson, ladies and gentlemen. Keith, good morning.
Good morning to you, Jim. And I have a feeling Jim's going to be out in the Southwest for the next couple of days for sure, tracking that for you. New York, gloomy day today. Some showers moving through at the moment. Temperatures in the upper 50s. And let's take a look at the radar, because you can see it pushing through New York City. We're on the back end of it, but it's not going to be a nice day. You're not going to clear out there. Showers inside the 495, 128 belt here, and then up through down East Maine. This is a weak little trough, though. It will get out of here pretty quickly. The good news is behind it we have much drier air, so it'll be really nice the next couple of days. Al?
This is a sight you want to see when you are spending a day at the beach.
Yeah, no, not so much a water spout spinning offshore Pensacola Beach yesterday. The storms were over the Gulf, obviously, and you don't want to drive your boat into these. A lot of friends of mine tried to do that when we were kids. Not a smart thing. That's a tornado on the water, people.
Also in the area, a tornado. They were under a tornado warning for some time. Thankfully, no reports of injuries. Pensacola could see some more storms today.
And it's set to be home to one of the biggest solar farms east of the Mississippi River.
That's right. Duke Energy leasing 550 acres of land for farmers to build the project in Duplin County outside Wilmington.
Now, the company's hiring 250 workers to put up 850,000 solar panels. One farmer's excited about the idea.
It's a long-term deal. I won't have to worry about tending working this farm. They gonna work it for me, and I'm excited about it.
Cost of the project, $500 million, set to be completed by the end of next year.
Well, just over a day after Odile slammed into Cabo San Lucas, the true scope of the damage is now being seen.
That's right. Coming up, we're going to be looking at the latest images from Mexico. Find out what's next for people trying to clean up after the storm. Airports closed into next month. It is going to be a mess. They're going to be cleaning for a long time.
And does all this weather that we're seeing, how is it going to affect our insurance rates? We have that story coming up after your look on the 8s.
Welcome back to Wake Up with Al. Taking a look at New Orleans right now, which is actually seeing some sunshine, but just check the dew point. It is muggy even by their standards. Temperatures, dew points in the mid-70s. So really juicy atmosphere. That'll play in later in the day. That's why we have a good chance of showers and thunderstorms as we head through the afternoon. You know, it happens in the summer and early fall there, but we're going to see more than average. Look at that line sitting right off the coast over the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of lightning, a lot of rain. Most of it, though, not hitting the actual area, the landmass, if you will. New Orleans clear at the moment, but they'll bubble up later today and see showers and thunderstorms moving in. We zoom in towards the northern part of Florida, and you can see a pretty good line going through Pensacola right now. A lot of lightning, not a severe thunderstorm, but a lot of strikes hitting the ground, and it's all part of a front kind of stalled out over southern Georgia and northern Florida. So along that line is where we'll see thunderstorms continuing to pop up through today, and again, New Orleans will get involved in that by later on in the afternoon. Here's a look at our computer model showing you some of those popping up here 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Al?
Let's head to the West Coast.
Let's do it, where the United States and a rare confluence of events is occurring. A hurricane large enough to trap American tourists in Mexico's Baja Peninsula.
Okay, now for more than 24 hours after the storm hit, we're getting video coming out of the storm showing all the damage that they've really sustained. Slamming ashore with 125-mile-per-hour winds, Hurricane Odile pummeling Cabo San Lucas with nearly a foot of rain in just hours. A Category 3 hurricane when it made landfall. Winds peeled back roofs, swamped streets, and cut powers across the popular tourist region. And they're going to be cleaning for a long time to come there.
Yeah, they are. Well, let's go to Keith Carson now to have a look at the next 7 days. And Keith, how's it shaping up for us?
Well, you know what? It depends where you are. We're going to focus on Odile, obviously, because there's going to be a lot of moisture in there. That's what the United States is going to feel for a minute. And it looks like a stronger setup for flooding, really, than Norbert was. The question is, does it hit some of the metro areas like it did in Phoenix? By tomorrow, we've got some heavy rain down across the southwest. Meanwhile, much of the country quiet. The northeast, midwest, temperatures around average, maybe just a tick below average in the upper 60s and through Chicago. And then Thursday, Boston, New York looking good, Chicago as well. Heavy rain still ongoing. This is a several-day thing across the southwest. So starting through the day today and lasting probably till Friday morning, you see the heaviest rain going on there. The heat gets squashed across the west in the 90s today in Los Angeles, but down into the 70s as we head into Friday as we get that system through and a little bit of a front coming through. We head into Saturday, you can see that showers and storms across the middle part of the country here in through the Ohio Valley eventually on Sunday. So a little bit of a nice day here across the eastern seaboard. Sunday looks pretty good as well. Boston, New York City, the middle part of the country. And finally, again, by the later part of the week, we're going to quiet down what's going on in the southwest, but not before probably 3 to 5 inches of rain in some spots, which for them is a ton of rain. The system marches to the east here on Monday. That means a wet start to the work week down the 95 corridor. Al, Steph?
Keith, thanks so much. Well, past 2 years have been pretty quiet for major storms in the U.S.
Yes, so could we actually see our insurance rates going down? Just had business expert Paul Walsh is stopping by to let us know.
It's 20 minutes past the hour. We got a lot going on right now.
We do. So we want to go to our hurricane specialist, Carl Parker, who's in the lab to talk more about Odile and the rest of the tropics. And Carl, this system is still pretty big as it's moving north and west. And what I think is interesting is it's going to get picked up by a trough and really traverse the rest of the United States.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to end up getting rain across parts of the Midwest associated with this system. But it's going to be very heavy rain in an area that can't really tolerate very heavy rain. And we're talking about the U.S. Southwest. Now, here is the water vapor picture. And we're looking at moisture and mid-level features here. And notice that these features are coming out well ahead of the storm. So you've got some mid-level convergence, which is to say winds coming together as you get up into the middle part of the atmosphere. And already there is rain breaking out in response to that. But the main event is right there, and that has yet to come in. Now, you may recall, and you certainly do if you were in the Phoenix area, that we had terrible flooding not all that long ago across parts of the Southwest. I'm going to walk over here for just a second. And that was a result of what happened with Dolly's moisture. Dolly was a tropical storm that came in from the Gulf of Mexico, and then Norbert was well off to the west, but that moisture got involved as well. We've got a slightly different situation in this case. It's not as broad an area of moisture, but it's going to be more concentrated as what's left of this tropical system, which may in fact be a tropical depression by the time it gets to Arizona. As that comes in, we're going to be talking about very heavy rain getting up into Arizona and New Mexico. We'll have more on that coming up. Steph?
The past 2 years have been very quiet in terms of large-scale natural disasters. So how will that affect insurance rates and premiums going forward? Business weather expert Paul Walsh is here to answer any questions. And Paul, let's first talk about the price of insurance policies. Is it like gas? They just put it up and down whenever they feel like it?
Absolutely not. It's really it's based on weather, and it's based on weather history. So they look at storms in the past and they calculate what the risk is of an event happening. And if the event happens more frequently, the price goes up. So it's all based on probability statistics and historical weather.
Yeah, but it only takes one, like a Hurricane Andrew or, you know, one Katrina, and that can really mess things up,
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so are you thinking the prices could go down maybe in places like Florida where we haven't had a lot of hurricanes making landfall, in Texas?
I don't think we're going to see an immediate impact on prices based on the last 2 years of relatively quiet season. It typically takes longer than 2 years, 10 years, 15 years of history. So it's very specifically based on weather history and events. So small events, one-time events don't impact price, but if this trend continues, we might see changes in prices.
How about savings with technology? Is that going to help customers down the line at all?
It will. And, you know, weather data is becoming much more granular. We're using weather radar data, and we're getting levels of data we didn't used to have before. So insurance companies now are looking at things like Doppler weather radar, and they're repricing risk. They're sort of calibrating how or what the odds are of hail based on this 20-year history of very granular data.
So it's more on the weather data than perhaps acoustic technology for the homes, or the, you know, what about like having stronger homes and stuff like that? Is that going to affect it?
It's a combination of both. So
okay.
as we become more sophisticated in a way, we're able to measure the risks and we're able to build more
better,
resilient
right.
properties, that will impact the price.
How about climate change and insurance? How do those go hand in hand, or
well,
do they?
They do go hand in hand in that the weather goes hand in hand with insurance. So as the weather changes, as sea level rise happens, as we see potentially more impactful storms and impacting greater amounts of people because there's more of us, we'll likely see impacts. So we may see interesting impacts where we actually may see the price of insurance go down in some areas when we're able to use this data to reprice the risk. And if we see things like tornado outbreaks moving north as the climate changes. Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting way that climate might impact prices.
All right. Paul, thank you very much. For more weather and business insight, check out Paul's blog, which is forecastfactor.weather.com.
Another soggy start to the day across the Northeast. Keep the umbrellas and rain boots handy. High water in places like eastern PA, New York, Boston. How much will you get? We've got details coming up. This morning on Wake Up with Al, with our little hour we got ahead, Tropical Storm Odil's on the move, producing heavy rain as it heads north and east.
We have live team coverage. We have Carl Parker, who's tracking it from the Weather Lab. Jim Cantori joins us from Tucson, Arizona, as residents await the rain.
That's right. Meantime, scattered storms possible for the eastern third of the country.
Find out when you'll dry out right here, right now on Wake Up with Al.
Live from New York and the heart of Rockefeller Center, it's Wake Up with Al Roker and Stephanie Abrams.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, September 16th, 2014, 30 past. Welcome to Wake Up with Al.
We are live in New York, so we want to get right to your top 3 weather stories that you need to know this morning, starting off with Odile.
That's right. It's the big story we've got covering. So Odile's rains are coming. We're going to be watching this. In fact, we're talking about heavy rains, upwards of 3 to 5, some areas even 6 to 7 inches possible. So that's going to cause some major flooding. Our number 2 story, it is going to be stormy in the southeast. We've got wet weather from the Texas coast all the way through the Gulf into the southeast and all the way down into the Keys. And finally, it's chilly times in the Midwest. Temperatures are going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees below average. Cleveland at 63, Traverse City, Michigan 7 degrees below average, Chicago 8 degrees below average.
I'm just happy to see St. Louis is getting a cool off from all that heat that they've been seeing.
That's right. Well, the wrath from Odile far from over. Cleanup getting underway in Baja California.
It did. So look what this historic Category 3 storm did. The first time they've had a Cat 3 actually make landfall, and they flooded the streets, and this water was moving very swiftly as well.
That's right. Extensive damage everywhere. Dented cars, roofs, torn off buildings, shattered glass. More than 100 people injured. Thankfully, no deaths. Hundreds of thousands of homes still without power. The airport is a mess. They say it won't open up until sometime early to mid-October. Live team coverage of Odile and the flood threat for the Southwest. Hurricane specialist Carl Parker's got the latest on Odile now and when the threat ramps up for flash flooding. Storm tracker Jim Cantori joining us from Tucson as they prepare for all the rain on the way. Let's start off with Carl. So what are we expecting as this moisture from Odile spreads north, Carl?
Well, we're thinking there's going to be a significant flash flood threat, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Let's give you the latest on the storm. It's now a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm moving north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. That core really holding on to its inertial stability, which is to say it's still spinning pretty rapidly right in here, and now crossing over the very warm water of the Gulf of California. Temperatures in the upper 80s there, and as a result, it's going to continue to be a well-defined entity, we think. And here's a model forecast showing you how that's going to play out. We've had rain already there today, associated with some mid-level convergence. And then as this feature continues to come up into late tomorrow and during the day on Wednesday, you're going to have the circulation right in here. And then off to the north and east of that, you've got winds coming up from the south and then winds coming in like this from the east. So you've got an area of convergence right in there and very heavy rain setting up, we think, across southeast Arizona, south southwestern New Mexico that will go through the day on Thursday and not really begin to wind down until late Thursday and Friday. So here's a model forecast. Might be a little on the high side, but you get the flavor of it, which is talking about potentially several inches of rain in areas where we can't really tolerate that amount of wet weather without getting flash flooding. And I want to bring in Jim Cantori. He's now in Tucson, Arizona. And Jim, maybe we could talk a little bit more about the terrain there, the nature of the soil, and how this area is so susceptible to true flash flooding where it starts very, very quickly.
Absolutely, Carl. And, you know, what was interesting, I thought, too, about that model was the fact that everything you showed was really with the circulation center itself coming into Arizona. There wasn't stuff spread out up toward Vegas, Flagstaff, or even into California for that matter. So this really looks like a concentrated core event that is going to come into southern Arizona, into New Mexico, and across western Texas as well. All right, let's show you the video here, guys, of just how bad it can get with less than an inch of rain. Look at this. Tremendous flooding here last week in the Tucson area. This was a daily rainfall record. We had water rescues all over the place. Of course, when this stuff happens overnight, actually I think this is Phoenix. Is this Phoenix, guys, or two? Yeah, Phoenix. Okay, so this was we had 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates. If you hear a meteorologist, especially in the West, talking about 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates, I want you to think about heavy rain falling on concrete, because that's really what it's like. It's not going to be absorbed by the soil. It is going to wash off. It is going to lift up and wash off and everything. And that's why they've created washes like this. We have mountains that are almost 9,200 feet, Mount Lemmon here off to my northeast. And you can see what happens when that water falls there. It trickles down through here, and these washes channel that water out away from the city, or the city would flood. But if it's raining this way and this heavy all over the city, unfortunately, you can't get all that water in that wash quick enough, and that's why we flood. So we are on high alert, especially tomorrow and especially on Thursday, as the core with that deep moisture makes its way up into southern Arizona. All right, Keith Carson, we've got a 1/10 of an inch so far, and I'm sure this is not the end of it. Back to you in the studios in Atlanta.
All right, thanks, Jim. Yeah, as I mentioned, Jim probably going to be there a couple of days tracking the flooding that will be to come in the southwest. Let's take you to Hartford, Connecticut right now, where some showers are moving through at the moment. Cool as well. Temperatures in the 50s. Good news, though, on the whole, the rest of this week looks good. Today is your rainy day. After that, things improve. There's a shower right there, just kind of in the back end of it, coming through Hartford into Norwich and eventually into Providence, Rhode Island. But after that, things settle down. A few showers in the North Shore, Boston, in through the Gloucester area, up into Portsmouth, New Hampshire. All this stuff, though, very, very light in nature. In through down east Maine, mid-coastal Maine, Camden, up through Rockport, also seeing some showers there. So gloomy more than anything. Temperatures in the 50s as well. It's all part of an upper level disturbance coming through. Good news is dry air right behind it, though. So we'll get these spotty showers through the early evening. No instability by later on tonight. They fizzle out. And by tomorrow, we end up with a really beautiful day. A lot of sunshine and temperatures right around 70 degrees. So temperatures maybe a tad bit below average, but really nice. 73 in New York, 70 in Boston, 67 in Burlington, Vermont, and 68 in Bangor, Maine. Al?
Let's bring in Dara Brown from MSNBC.
Good morning to you both, and here's a look at what's making news today. A big push to ease the Ebola outbreak. The U.S. is ramping up its response. It involves 3,000 military personnel. They'll be used to build 17 treatment centers and train healthcare workers in West Africa. The price on the plan, over $500 million. The World Health Organization says 20,000 people could be infected with Ebola in the coming months. NFL star Adrian Peterson is cleared to play on Sunday. He was benched Sunday over child abuse charges. In a statement yesterday, Peterson said, "I'm not a perfect parent, but I am without a doubt not a child abuser." But not everyone is happy with the move. The Radisson hotel chain is no longer a sponsor for the Vikings. And kind of sci-fi, kind of cool, a device the size of an iPad that can diagnose diseases within minutes. Doctors at Harvard are behind it. The device uses a single drop of blood or saliva. Test results take just 1 hour, and it can diagnose everything from TB to E. coli. It can also cut a test price by half. So that's big news in the tech department.
Do they know when this is going to be available?
We don't know yet. Wow. It's just sort of a trial basis right now.
That could be a game changer. Yeah. All right, Dara Brown, thanks so much.
Time now for a look at our day ahead, and we're going to check in with Keith Carson in Atlanta.
All right, thanks, Steph. Let's take a look at what's going on in the Midwest. It's a little cool, temperatures in the 50s at first, but a lot of sunshine. Actually, a ridge of high pressure building in behind that front from yesterday. Temperatures end up in the 60s, so yeah, it's not that warm. Then they settle back during the overnight hours. Some places into the 40s, most of us, though, in the low 50s. Minneapolis here ending up around 66 degrees. Again, a lot of sunshine, clear during the overnight hours. Meanwhile, obviously, we have Cantori out west for a reason. We're going to see a lot of rain in through the southwest, but if you go to the west and towards Los Angeles, it's all about the heat. Another day in the mid-90s, one more hot day tomorrow, and then back to cooler conditions after that. Al?
Well, he's not just causing problems for folks and firefighters in California.
Yes, everyone's trying to escape it, even the bears. Look at this bear. Decided to take a swim in a pool in a Sierra Madre home just north of Los Angeles.
That's right, this smarter than the average bear decided to wander into the backyard. Temperatures there, triple digits, boo-boo. Relaxing for about 15 minutes before climbing out. I tell you what, the ranger isn't going to like this.
Yes, but the bear's cool, so that's all right. That matters. Right?
Hurricane Odile leaving Cabo San Lucas in ruins. Thousands of tourists stranded.
Just ahead, we talked to one mother who was stuck in Cabo.
Well, welcome back to Wake Up with Allie, taking a look at Mobile, Alabama right now. And it's actually sunny at the moment, but if you take a look at the observation, the dew points here in the mid-70s, so really, really juicy stuff. That's why we have a good chance of showers and thunderstorms here through the day, and then by the evening, that chance kind of settles down as the instability goes down with the sun. Right now, the thunderstorms are offshore for the most part. We're looking at Pensacola area, Destin, Florida, Great Beach there, most of the thunderstorms out over the ocean, but we got a lot of lightning there towards the Perry area. This is again into northern Florida to the southeast of Tallahassee. Not a severe storm, but a lot of lightning at the moment. That's all part of a boundary, kind of stationary over southern Georgia. And you'll notice our little computer model here, our small scale computer model, pops up a lot of showers and storms through the afternoon, driving through New Orleans and through northern parts of Florida as well. So we'll watch those by later in the day. Steph?
Well, imagine if you were in a foreign country and some of the most powerful weather known was headed your way.
Well, that's right. Well, that's the situation Maddie Nobles and her sister found herself as a vacation to Cabo San Lucas turned into a close encounter with a hurricane. She tells us what they did to survive the fury of Odile.
I'm from Colorado. I've lived there my whole life and never once thought I would see a hurricane. It was probably about 11 o'clock when we finally heard that there was actually a really bad hurricane coming. It was actually a lot different than what they had expected. They moved us out of this hotel over to the playa. They thought that we'd be safer there, and at one point we were holding this really heavy table up against the front door, my sister and I.
Oh my God.
It looked like it was going to blow and come in, and there's water gushing into our hotel room. Our window separated from, there was a sliding glass door, and it separated, so we barricaded it up with the furniture that we could in the room. And all around us, there's hotel rooms. Next to us, across the way, all the glass was completely shattered, and you know, the currents coming out the windows, it was like there was a war. And there's just a little bit of water here on the floor, but other than that, everything else here back at the Solmar is good. And we're trying to help those, you know, all the great people here that are cleaning up, and if there's anything that we can do to help them keep their lives up as well, we walk the boardwalk, see if we can help them.
Wow, that has got to be just frightening.
Really scary, especially if you've never gone through it before, you're in a foreign country. By the way, the electricity's out, you know, usually at that time. So.
You don't know how you're getting out. Probably communications were down for a while. Really.
You're on maternity leave. Obviously, the baby wasn't with them, but you have a newborn at home, and your hormones are still, you know, raging off that. So a lot going on.
Probably could have stopped right before that part. Right
well,
there.
A lot of women can understand.
I know, I'm only kidding. All right, Keith Carson is standing by down in Atlanta. Oh, Keith, by the way, my 12-year-old boy called. He wants his sneakers back.
Oh, did he? You know what, Al? I'm going to take your negative comment. I'm going to give you some positive feedback. I saw a seersucker suit that you were wearing last week. I think it was pink. and it had a red tie. And I said to everyone down here, not everyone can pull it off, but it looks good on Al. So
wow,
this is taking
that's very
negative,
nice of you.
And I'm pushing some positive.
That's very
Don't think
very
that
nice
that's
of you.
going to get you nice comments from Roker, though.
But my
sorry.
son still wants his sneakers.
And his pants.
All right, fine. They're dress shoes I bought in Spain, just so you know. They're
wow.
Pretty...
Oh.
Wow, you got taken, pal.
I didn't even say how much they were, but probably true. Yeah. All right, hey, let's talk about the 7-day forecast. You know, our focus is going to be in the southwest for sure because Odil's moisture is pouring in there already, and the setup is stronger moisture-wise than Norbert was, and obviously Norbert caused some big problems in a place like Phoenix. So we're going to watch that through tomorrow. The rain continues down here, and as Jim mentioned, your daily rainfall records are in the 1-inch range, so 2 or 3 inches, big flooding there. Meanwhile, the rest of the country, honestly, pretty quiet. A few showers across the southeast. The heat's starting to die down a little bit tomorrow. Los Angeles today in the mid-90s, 91 tomorrow. Thursday, 82, so we start to cool down, but the rain is in full swing here in New Mexico, even into Texas. Places like El Paso are going to be dealing with some rain there. Still quiet with the ridge of high pressure across the northeast and Midwest. They're going to get a couple of nice days in here. On Friday, continues to be nice across the eastern seaboard. Heavy rain finally slugs its way eastward to places that are a little bit more used to this heavy precipitation, and continues on Saturday across the middle part of the country. Showers and thunderstorms there. We should start the weekend pretty nice down the 95 corridor into the Ohio Valley, and on Sunday, another nice day across the eastern seaboard as this front tries to move in. Could be actually relatively warm with the southwest flow. 82 in Atlanta. Again, the heat kind of dying down a bit here in LA, coming down around 85 degrees for a high on Sunday. Al, Steph?
All right, Keith, you know we kid because we love. All right, anyway. The Southwest bracing for another dose of heavy rain and flash flooding.
Odile continues to tear across Mexico. Hurricane specialist Carl Parker is tracking it, where it is now, and when Phoenix and Tucson could see the rain.
It's all coming up as we continue on Wake Up with Al. 53 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Wake Up with Al. Tomorrow on the program, we're heading to the Jersey Shore where beach restoration continues. Can you believe it still after Superstorm Sandy? Plus, his career has literally gone to the dogs. Why this photographer's photos have your pooch all wet. These are so cute. But right now, let's head over to somebody who's equally as cute. And when you rub his belly, his right leg just starts moving like crazy. Carl?
That's true, but I prefer you not because it gets a little embarrassing for all involved. And hey, we want to tell you about what's going on with Odile. This is actually very serious, what we think is going to occur here in the next couple of days. Here's the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center on that storm. A 60-mile-per-hour storm moving north-northwest at 9 miles per hour. Tropical storm warnings have been extended, so it's still possible that we see some tropical storm force wind there in northwest Mexico. That core has been holding together and is coming out and across the very warm water of the Gulf of California, near 90 degrees. And so we do think the core will continue to hold together for the most part. And in fact, here's a model representation of that. Notice the spin right in there. Heavier rain coming into parts of Arizona and into New Mexico, certainly so during the day tomorrow, and then into tomorrow night. Could be very heavy indeed, and this will go on through Wednesday night, even into Thursday morning, and then lift up through New Mexico. So we're talking about potentially some exceptionally heavy rain across parts of the Southwest, and it doesn't take a lot of rain to cause significant flooding. And let's take a look at the newest model forecast showing you where this heavy rain is going to be. And the models have been flipping a little bit, going farther south, farther north, but the flavor of this is that we're talking about a few to perhaps as much as several inches of rain in some spots, and on that very sandy terrain out there that doesn't absorb water very well, and also the elevation out there, that's going to mean flash flooding and perhaps an awful lot of it. Our Jim Cantori is in Tucson anticipating some of the worst of the weather there. Now here's Tropical Storm Polo. It's a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm, modeling generally agreeing that it's going to be offshore, but then moving to the northwest, and this is where it gets disconcerting because you'll notice here that the forecast takes it up to near Cabo. The track does actually include Cabo, and that's late Saturday, and right now looking at possibly a strong tropical storm, but intensity is very difficult to forecast, so we could be talking about something stronger than that. And obviously we're going to keep a very close eye on this in light of what has just happened there with Odile. And here is Edouard, and this is the first major hurricane of the season, and 115-mile-per-hour storm now moving north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. There's the visible satellite picture. Very well-formed storm. You can see the distinct eye and the sun shining on the northwest part of that eye wall there. This storm, fortunately, is going to remain out over the open water of the Atlantic and will weaken as it moves out into the North Atlantic. All right, let's get a look at what's happening stateside, and here's Keith with that.
All right, thanks, Carl. Yeah, that's a pretty strong-looking storm. Good thing it is out to sea, out over the Atlantic. Let's talk about, a lot of the country is quiet. Look, we obviously talk about stories that are impactful, and the Southwest is that. But a lot of the country relatively quiet today from the Midwest, the Northern Plains. A few showers in through the Northeast as well. Nothing too disruptive there, but a dreary day for sure in New York City, all the way up into Boston, up and through Maine as well. Here's how it looks over the next 12 hours. It's just a trough, an upper-level disturbance that's coming through here. So showers will continue through the first half of the afternoon. After that, see these spotty little showers. These are just like small instability showers, sprinkles more than anything through the evening. And after that, we're in good shape. It actually looks nice in the Northeast on the whole over the next couple of days. A lot of sunshine. Just going to get through today first. Meanwhile, across the Midwest, we already had that system come through, the cold front. So now we've got a pretty nice day through the rest of today. Temperatures in the 60s though, so a little bit below average, but pleasantly so. Low dew points as well, making for a nice day, and really nice across the upper Midwest as the showers stay with to the north into Canada. Let's take you down into Texas, where we've got some Gulf coastal moisture there. So coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, some showers maybe into Houston, down across, down towards Corpus Christi area. But for the most part, these showers stay closer to the coast with a stalled out stationary front there. Otherwise, temperatures in the upper 80s. Some clouds, maybe a stray shower or two in Dallas, but I think most of the day actually ends up dry there. And obviously across Florida, you get what Florida has. Showers and thunderstorms. A lot of those pop up in the afternoon. Across northern Florida, southern Georgia will kind of be the zone, and we'll be watching those. Al?
And that just about does it for us here on our 10 a.m. edition of Wake Up With Al.
Coming up next, Mark Elliott and Bonnie Schneider. They're going to walk you through the next several hours.
That's right. And of course, the latest on O'Deal. Storm tracker Jim Cantori's got everything going on for the next several hours.
Ain't that the truth?
You bet. We're going to be back with you tomorrow morning with the latest on all the flood threats and everything you need to know starting at 5:30.